Welcome to Sporty's What You Should Know Instrument Rating Course. This integrated system combines video segments with flight and ground lesson plans, interactive quizzes, and a PTS study guide to professionally and thoroughly prepare you for the instrument written, oral, and flight tests. As a bonus, this course will take you beyond the check ride in segments we call Air Facts, presented by Richard L. Collins. Dick Collins is an editor for Flying Magazine. He has written 11 books, holds ratings all the way up to airline transport pilot, has accrued over 17,000 flight hours, and in the process has flown almost every type of aircraft there is. Volume 1 focuses on the fundamentals of instrument flying. Looking ahead, Volume 2 covers the air traffic control system, communications, and the pilot's role in the system. Volume 3 begins instrument approaches, and flying en route is the topic in Volume 4. You'll find out what you should know about weather and how it relates to your IFR flying in Volume 5. And Volume 6 introduces you to GPS, advanced systems, and navigation for instrument pilots. Volume 7 concludes the series with final test preparations and emergency procedures. Your host is Rob Ryder, an instrument-rated pilot and Emmy Award winner who is a real aviation enthusiast. Rob announces various air shows and also hosts Sporty's private pilot course. As you can see, we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started with Rob.
Instrument flying. Some would make a mystery out of it. Actually, it's neither complicated nor difficult. In many ways, it's easier than VFR flying. Some have said that all you have to do on an instrument flight is match the numbers on the panel to the numbers on the chart. Well, there's more to it than that, but it's still a very orderly and understandable process.
To help you get off to the best possible start, we're going to take you along on an IFR flight. This will show you how it works in the real world. If you're pursuing an instrument rating, it'll outline the goal toward which you are working. If you're flying with us for recurrent or refresher purposes, it'll be a good reminder of flight in actual conditions. The whole process is aimed at bringing you up to and keeping you at a level of proficiency where you can safely fly in clouds from here to there. Have a good ride. To start our journey into the world of instrument flying, let's go along on an actual IFR cross-country flight. The aircraft is a G1000 equipped Cessna 182 Skylane. The planned route is from Claremont County Airport direct to the Cincinnati VOR, Victor 97 to the Shelbyville VOR, culminating in an approach and landing at Indianapolis International Airport. We'll ride along with David, a professional pilot and flight instructor who has a business appointment in Indianapolis, Indiana. Knowing the weather here, there, and in between is of prime importance in planning a cross-country flight, especially when you will be flying in actual instrument conditions. Because of this, David first gets a self-briefing online with the National Weather Service's Aviation Weather Center. Here, David can investigate the big weather picture, look at the national radar for precipitation, see if there is icing or turbulence en route, and check winds and temperatures aloft. David notes a low-pressure system and trough on the surface analysis chart. This system is influencing the weather and producing precipitation along his route of flight. He also calls up the METARs and TAFs at his home base and destination. David finds that while the weather in Cincinnati and Indianapolis is similar, it has some differences. The clouds around Cincinnati appear to be starting to break up, but Indianapolis still has a thick overcast layer. Because the air temperature at 6,000 feet is below freezing, David decides to fly the trip at 4,000, where it is expected to be warmer. He is being cautious about the potential for ice in the clouds. David checks the TAFs for Louisville. Louisville will be his alternate airport. Finally, he takes a look at the pilot reports along the route. With the basic weather picture in hand, David receives an official text-based standard weather briefing through DUOTS. This is really a handy website which will save a lot of planning time. He enters the necessary data on the low-altitude briefing request form. The forecasts and other reports can be automatically decoded for Cincinnati and Indianapolis. NOTAMs are easily checked here as well. Having gathered all the necessary weather data, he prepares his flight plan for the trip. This is accomplished by going to flightplan.com, following the prompts. Flightplan.com does the calculations and creates a detailed flight plan with all the info needed. What a convenience and time saver. Clicking another button files the flight plan. Confirmation is immediate and shows on the active flight plan list in red. Flightplan.com's planned ATC route is also shown under the info line, in our case, CVG VOR, Victor 97 to SHB VOR. Today's technology takes a lot of work off the pilot. David never had to leave his computer. He was able to gather weather information and create and file his flight plan in a relatively short time. Using the strongest features of these weather and flight planning websites allowed David to get a more complete briefing for the flight. With the collected data in hand, David boards the pre-flighted 182 and prepares for departure. It's still raining. He initializes the G1000 and starts the engine. After an initial check of the airplane's systems, he taxis to a position on the airport where he can complete his before takeoff checks and receive his clearance from ATC. The sky looks like it's starting to break up a bit, and the rain is slowing down. Even a hint of blue sky is showing here and there. He begins to think that maybe the trip won't be IFR all the way. In position on the taxiway, David programs his flight into the G1000. He also tunes in 120.25, the Lunken Airport ATIS, to see what the weather is doing there.
Lunken Tower Information Golf 1352 Zulu, wind 200 at 10, visibility 10, few clouds at 1,400, 7,000 broken, temperature 13, dew point 12, altimeter 29er 69er. An ILS approach runway 21 left is in use, aircraft line departing runway 21 left. Hazardous weather information for Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio is available on HIWAS, FlightWatch, or flight service frequencies. Advise you have Golf.
Since everything is a go, David tunes in Cincinnati clearance delivery and states his request.
Good morning, Cincinnati clearance delivery, Skylane 6167 Lima. It's on the ground at India 69er and looking for an IFR to Indianapolis.
6167 Lima, Cincinnati approach, which runway and how long?
67 Lima will be departing runway 22 and we are number 1 for departure.
67 Lima, cleared to Indianapolis at 5, fly runway heading for radar vectors on course, maintain 3,000, expect 4,000 within 10 minutes. Departure frequency is going to be 121.0, block 4244.
And Skylane 6167 Lima is cleared as filed, runway heading. Expect vectors, altitude is 3,000, 4,000 expected in 10 minutes. Departure frequency is 121.0, SWAC is 4244.
67 Lima, readback is correct, Cincinnati altimeter 29er 69er, clearance void if not airborne, and at 1415, time now 1405, not airborne by 15, call back with intentions, frequency change is approved.
And our clearance is void at 1415 Zulu, time now is 1405 for 6167 Lima.
With all preparations complete, David taxis to runway 22 for departure.
Claremont County traffic, Skylane 6167 Lima is departing active runway 22 will be a departure to the southwest out of Claremont County.
It's great to have an instrument rating on days like this. The present weather would stop a VFR-only pilot from flying, but with an IFR rating and up-to-date currency, this flight is easy to accomplish and quite enjoyable. Entering the cloud base, David is flying on instruments only. The immediate sensation can be a little disorienting at first, but by concentrating on the instrumentation, the feeling passes quickly. His many hours of IFR experience make it all possible. David is in and out of the clouds now and still on runway heading. He calls departure as requested.
Good morning, Cincinnati departure. Skylane 6167 Lima is off India 69er through 1800, climbing 3000, runway heading.
Skylane 6167 Lima, Cincinnati approach, ident, Cincinnati altimeter 2969.
2969, ident for 67 Lima.
67 Lima, radar contact, maintain 3,000. I'm going to leave you at 3 for just a little bit. We'll get you on course a little bit earlier than 4 would.
Roger that. Out of 2,000 for 3,000 for 67 Lima.
Checking the multifunction display, David notices that the controller is vectoring him around the departure and arrival corridor for Greater Cincinnati Airport. He is well left of his magenta course line. There is traffic at his 1 o'clock position traveling south about 1,500 feet above him, probably just departed Lunken Airport. Level at 3,000 feet, the cloud tops are about even with the airplane. David is experiencing a smooth ride with just a small jolt here and there as he enters and exits the tops of the clouds. It's a good feeling to be on top in these conditions.
Number 67 Lima, flighting 240.
240 for 67 Lima.
As indicated on the primary flight display, David is level at 3,000 on a heading of 241 degrees and cruising at around 134 knots. His course line is still a bit to the right. David checks the XM weather radar on the MFD and notices that most of the rain is now off to the east. There are a few showers showing just east of Shelbyville and north of Indianapolis. METARs and TAFs are also displayed. The overcast remains as forecast, 800 feet with visibilities of 10 miles and the wind out of the northwest at 9 knots.
November 67 Lima, turn right, heading 270.
Right to 270 for 67 Lima.
David is operating with the autopilot turned on. By moving the blue heading bug to the desired heading, the Skylane will turn and capture the new heading on its own. The clouds are building up as David's flight makes its way through the Class B airspace around Cincinnati. Looking to the south and west, the weather is solid IFR. Possibly the blue sky he saw earlier was only a momentary occurrence and not a harbinger of better things to come. It's not a good idea to jump at the first indication of possible good weather and think that a positive change has occurred. Again, you must investigate the complete weather picture to make a proper go, no-go decision.
November 67 Lima, turn right, heading 320, and join Victor 97 on course.
Right to 320 and join Victor 97 on course for 67 Lima.
On the new heading, the wind is picking up a bit and is now coming out of the northwest at around 20 knots. The ride is becoming a bit bumpy in the light chop. David decides to request an altitude change with ATC to get out of the clouds for a smoother ride. Despite the colder temperature, icing will not be an issue once clear of the clouds and any precipitation.
Cincinnati approach, Skylane 6167 Lima, request.
November 67 Lima, approach.
67 Lima, I'd like to request 6,000 feet as our final available.
November 67 Lima, Roger, I'll have that for you in about 10 miles. So it's keeping you low for the departure traffic off Cincinnati, give them time to climb above you.
Roger that, 67 Lima.
November 67 Lima, climb and maintain 6,000.
Climb maintain 6,000 for 67 Lima.
David levels off at 6,000 feet. He's now flying between the cloud layers and in the clear. The ride is smooth above the lower cumulus deck. A higher layer of stratus clouds is above him, kind of like flying in a room with a floor below and a ceiling above. David leans the mixture for this new altitude using the G1000's lean assist function.
November 67 Lima, contact Indy approach 124 point, I'm sorry, let's make it 127.15.
Over to Indianapolis approach on 127.15 for 67 Lima. Have a good day.
Good day.
Good morning, Indianapolis approach. Skylane 6167 Lima is with you level 6,000 feet.
November 6167 Lima, Indy approach, Roger, Indy altimeter 2972. Plan the ILS 23 right and advise when you have, and you said you had Lima?
We'll plan the ILS 23 right, and we have not received the ATIS yet. We'll advise when we do so.
November 67 Lima, Roger.
David tunes the Indianapolis ATIS to acquire that vital information.
Indianapolis International Airport information, November 1354 Zulu. Wind 310 at 9er. Visibility 10. Ceiling 800 overcast. Temperature 8, 2.6. Altimeter 2971. ILS runway 23 right approach in use. Departing runway 23 right. Cross runway operations may be in effect. Hazardous weather information for the Indianapolis area is available on HiWAS, Flight Watch, or Flight Service frequencies. Advise on initial contact. You have information November.
Indy approach 616 Level Lima has November.
6167 Lima, Indy approach roger.
Visibility 10.
At this point, it's time to plan for the ILS-23 right approach. David checks the proper approach procedure. Notice that he also has an IFR chart on his lap as well. Even though he is flying a sophisticated airplane, he still needs to confirm his position and other information with the appropriate chart. Safety first. Having noted the pertinent information from the paper approach chart, David loads the approach from the G1000's database. The air temperature is right around the freezing mark at 6,000 feet. Realizing that he is approaching clouds, David requests a lower altitude to avoid the possibility of picking up airframe ice.
And approach 67 Lima is requesting lower.
Around 67 Lima, send and maintain 5,000.
Out of 6,000 for 5,000 for 67 Lima.
David sets the autopilot for the lower altitude so it will fly the descent for him. At the new altitude, the air temperature is enough above freezing to keep the airplane from picking up ice.
Around 67 Lima, turn right heading 340, be vector final approach course.
Right 340 for 67 Lima.
David activates vectors to final on the G1000. This extends a magenta line out from runway 23 right approach, making it easy to keep oriented to the airport and the approach course. There is traffic just to the right of the airplane traveling almost in the same direction. However, it's 2,000 feet below David's airplane, indicated by the -20 under the traffic box. The G1000 is set for the approach. Flying on autopilot, David now takes time to brief the approach. He methodically checks all the appropriate information on the chart. He starts at the top and continues down the page, noting important altitude changes and other details. David is getting closer to his destination.
Cessna 6167 Lima, descend and maintain 3,000.
So maintain 3,000, 67 Lima.
During the descent through the lower cloud deck, the Skylane is picking up some light rain. However, the precipitation is not showing up on NEXRAD. It's still only painting some rain around Crawfordsville, Rushville, and north of Indianapolis.
November 6167 Lima, you're 6 miles from Wynot, turn left heading 260, maintain 3,000 until established on the localizer, cleared ILS runway 23 right approach.
Left heading of 260, maintain 3,000 feet till established. We're clear at the ILS 23 right approach. For 67 Lima.
The trip has, for the most part, been a quiet one. Not much traffic in Cincinnati, en route, or at Indy. This is not always the case. Depending on the day and the time of day, there can be constant radio chatter throughout. The glide path will come alive as we get closer to Wynot. Notice that the glide path diamond on our flight is green, indicating an ILS approach. The course deviation indicator is also green. The glide path indicator and the CDI show the location of the glide path and course relative to the airplane. If they were to deviate from the center, David would fly toward them. The rain is still present, and we would definitely be icing up if the temperature was lower.
Cessna 67 Lima, contact tower 120.9er.
Contact tower 120.9er for 67 Lima. Good morning, Indy Towers. Skylane 6167 Lima is with you at Wynot on 23 right.
Skylane 6167 Lima, Indy Tower, runway 23 right, continue, traffic's holding in position.
Roger, continue for 67 Lima.
David keeps the glide path diamond and the CDI centered as he continues the approach.
November 726 Charlie Lima, runway 23 right, turn left heading 210, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 23 right, left turn 210, 6 Charlie.
November 67 Lima, runway 23 right, cleared to land.